Uh, hey, you know that this is how we can measure the competency. One of those methods that we measure the competency through raw data. And through raw data, how we collect that from interview is one of the method that we can interviewing the candidates, interviewing the participants, your colleagues, yeah, the participants from the data that we get. It is the raw data that we need to analyze it, and we get out of the what are the things. So same going with the when we analyzing or mapping the competency of the employee, the organizations. So these are very important, that the interviewing skills, when you get it from the candidates with a different sphere of their life, their the angles, their different complexity of the task, their skill levels. So different thing that with the different perspectives we jot down these points, and we analyze the what kind of right competencies is best suited for the jobs. And many organizations not validate those consistencies properly, and rather they just rely on to the previous data, and with a match with the couple of years data back, and they prove that data onto the any kind of level of competency of the same jobs. But in normal cases, that if you go into the consistent mapping of the your employees, or data about regarding which positions they are warrant to, or any kind of job that we need to be developed the skills level, that we need to be analyzed, and that can be recorded further. In normal cases, the validation of the competency is very important, because if normally you'll find the superior performers who is consistently meeting the targets and doing great, and the same as the average performers who is meeting the target, and the performers which is below par, which is not meeting the targets consistently. So the level of the differentiation of the between the superior performers or average performers and the below performer need to be validated in angle of different categories of appreciations, or demonstrate the relevance of the categories that is need to be different, and that very very specific and complete as per the category size of the employees that need to be derived. And reliability is one of those factors, because when you mapping the competency of the employees, the reliability is a very concern. When we if we know with the analyst of competency mapping, that you need to rely on the analyst's perception of the mind, or particular observation of the behavior of the participants and interviewers. So that is important. Again, that one of the best reliable tool definitely the statistical method that we need to use, because once the content analysis is completed, the data concerning for the frequency of the descriptions and the phrases in each of the competency dimensions are available. And normally this correlation coefficient experience chi-squares are developed through this statistical method to between what are the relation between the two. If there are any suppose, say for example, the demographic differences is coming up into the variables, then data can be split into each subgroups, and then you compare with any variables and the difference between the subgroups of demographic nature of the differences between the performance of the all the competencies. Normally, I'm just giving you an example what how we measure the competencies from the raw data. I'm just giving an example with an HR perspective. So, for example, and HR managers, the competencies and what are the indicators of that particular things for the base performance. So, for example, the knowledge of the subject matter of the HR. The indicators is that is ideally the managers all questions need to be answered, or all questions need to be answered correctly. That's the indicators. And the knowledge of, say for example, HRIS system, human resource information systems, that's he had a good sound knowledge about the HRIS perspective. So that is also the indicator of a good HR manager point of view. And that is the differentiations between, definitely, that the level of skills that required, that indicative, the hiring skills, that is, he needs to, whether the persons who is into hiring the hiring candidates is doing pretty well and staying longer period of time in the organizations. That is also indicators of it. The developing, motivating and retaining the talents. If it is this competency, then the indicators would be the higher productivity in the organizations, quality product or quality material, and the low turnover of the employees. So that's the indicators of this respective competencies. Same goes with the HR cost management. So for example, like if it is the cost perspective of the organizations, the previous years, for example, the reduction of budget of 10%, or minimization of the expenses of the budget of 10%. So that is the indicators of the previous one. Performance management, if it is indicators, the good performance of the employees, that is the simple indicators of this previous records or couple years of banks records. If you compare the data of previous year, if your performance is really improved on the employees. Interpersonal skills for the HR managers, like the manager do a very good behavior and there is no complaints from any other so far. So that's the interpersonal skills to have. So these are the competencies if you get, and you can indicate accordingly. So you can analyze this data when you brief about the competency of the HR managers with respect to that. So this is all about this raw data, briefly about how we go about it, how we collect the data, how we analyze it, and how we make it use a good effect to when we map the competency mapping for a particular positions. So same goes, this is the HR example, that same different departmental example, different position examples there, where competencies and indicators are go hand in hand, and we can analyze the data accordingly, and we can derive the result out of it. So thank you very much for listening to this video. I'll come up with the next topic. Thank you for watching.